Hi, I'm Andy Acton.
And I'm Chris Strevens.
This is Dentology, the Business of Dentistry podcast. I found it intriguing speaking to Shameek. We've been in business for 25 years, and something we don't talk about much, but runs very strongly through Shameek in his outlook and his business, is this sense of seeking joy and fun.
Yeah, it's true, actually. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because we've always said that we enjoy what we do, and I think people would see that we enjoy what we do. It was fascinating. I mean, we met. I've met him a few times. You know him much better than I do. But he's such a nice guy. He's infectious in a good way with his joyousness and enthusiasm. He's just a nice guy and varied. I mean, it's brilliant. You know, sort of like a dentist, bit of sports dentistry, then a bit of whiskey, bit of bit of gin and new business and It's fascinating. It's like I can't imagine him sitting down and having a rest unless it is with a glass of wine or a whiskey.
But you say about kind of he's kind of infectious. When you kind of see the people he hangs out with and the people he knows well, they're all very positive, very upbeat, very fun-loving people. So I think you do kind of attract your sort, don't you?
Yeah, I think you do. Because naturally, if you're not that type of person, one, you probably don't fit in, and two, it's probably a bit like a splinter.
Yeah.
Doesn't a splinter eventually get pushed out because it doesn't quite fit?
Yeah. No, really good episode. Really enjoyable one. Here we are.
Here we are again. I believe this is another podcast, my friend.
It is. And they keep racking up, don't they?
do, one of many.
Week after week, every Monday morning, 7 o'clock.
Always enjoyable. We think they're enjoyable.
Well, this episode, it's going to be a treat. It's going to be an absolute joy. Today,
pressure.
we have a dentist. We also have the founder and CEO of Tooth Angel. Tooth Angel being a health first, planet positive new range of dental products that we're going to get to later on.
Impressive. Do you reckon that what might be the hat?
Well, it possibly might be. For those joining us on YouTube, you can see our guest adorning himself with some merch,
some subtle branding.
It is. And today we're joined by Dr. Shameek Popat. Hello, Shameek. How are you?
Yeah, hello, guys. Thank you for having me. This is very exciting. I've been looking forward to this actually. So finally got here.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Yeah. We always start broadly in the same way at the beginning, which is kind of family. I don't know if family is really important to you, but we'll come back to that in a minute. You strike me as somebody who looks for joy in everything you do. Whenever we meet, you're smiling, you're looking to have fun. The people around you seem to buy into that. I'm sure that's linked in some small part or other to you having a tuk-tuk that I'm sure we'll talk about later. Where does that kind of sense of fun and joy come from for you?
You know what? I think from a young person, I've always been like that. I mean, I'll tell you the journey that I've had, which is fairly interesting, hopefully.
Yeah, please do.
But it's the philosophy that I've always had, and it's something that I've actually tried to ingrain into my children as well. You know, I've always been a glass half full person and try and get the best out of it, everything that can happen.
And also, Shameek, I have been with you that whilst that glass might have been half full at some point, it does get drained as well.
You know me well, my friend. You know me well. Yes, I do look at my whiskey and my wine, and we can talk about that later on as well. You know what? And I'm going to digress a little bit as well. So soon, earlier on and stuff. But I've always, I like to get to know people, right? I love people. I love to know about them. I think networking is the biggest strength that one person can have. And I've tried to actually ingrain that into my children as well. And I had a real proud daddy moment the other day. My daughter had just did a Deloitte internship, and then she got taken out for dinner with all the bigwigs, directors and things like that. And she was, a young 20-year-old at this big fancy dinner and drinks and things like that. And she came up to me and said, Dad, what's that? I said, what would Dad do in a situation like this? I know. He would go and introduce himself to everyone and talk. And it doesn't matter what, but he will talk. And he said, that's what I did. I went and introduced myself to everyone there and had a chat with them so that they knew who I was. I could find it. And I was like, wow. And I was just thinking, oh, wow. So, that's literally filtered through, and that's like that's really made me feel really, really happy. I've always been that type of personality that wherever I go, whether it's waiters, maitre d's and stuff, I will get to know them. I will know their name. And I've got to an age now where my memory is not as good. So I will actually write it down. You have this whole thing about, these great businesses where someone comes and they'll remember you. The guy who remembered my name and things like that.
Yeah.
I do it the opposite way. I remember their names. And that makes them feel good as well. The power of a name is so big. It really is big. And, and I think that's from, How to Win Friends and Influence People. A great book, I think. Dale Carnegie, that's who I was looking for. I think that's where I learned that from. And, that's something that I would recommend that everyone needs to read.
But we all like to feel special. Yeah. We all know what
value noticed.
We all know what it feels like as well. When someone's nice or kind or they're going out of their way, because we know what it feels like. So, like you said, I think that's kind of a superpower. And it's actually relatively straightforward to do. It costs
very
nothing.
Easy to do, exactly.
So from that point of view, it's something that is very easy.
Yeah, and it's really hard if you ask the right questions for them to get the answers wrong.
Yes.
So people can just feel very comfortable, can't they? It's just making not people feel weird, really.
Exactly. So let's kind of roll back to the beginning then. So what was your childhood? Where did you get brought up? Have you got siblings? What are your parents about?
Yeah. So this is quite a little interesting story. So I was actually born in Kampala, Uganda. So I am actually one of those Ugandan Asians, right?
Right.
And so I was born there. Actually, my wife was born there in the same hospital, bizarrely, but we never met till we started dating here, actually.
Wow. If you tell me on the same day, I'm going to be...
No. I'm a toy boy, so she's older than me. So that's quite fun. So obviously the whole Idi Amin thing happened, but even before then, actually, the family had thought that they should have some kind of presence in India, some kind of business in India. We used to have a tea estate in Uganda, a big tea estate, actually.
Oh, wow.
And they sent my father over there, and then the whole Idi Amin thing happened, and all the Asians had to leave. Yeah. And most of the family came to the UK. My father, obviously, because he was always trying to establish something in India, went to India. And my brother was born in India, actually, in Gujarat. And we spent the first 13 years of our life in Baroda, Gujarat, actually. So we grew up there and had a fantastic childhood. Absolutely loved that childhood. And I think it's part of what made me who I am, actually, in a way. And it's just great that I got to experience living in different countries, experiencing different cultures, different way of living, and that sort of forms you. And then around the age of 13 and stuff, I think my parents decided, look, I think we need to send our boys for education to the UK. All the family was here. Education in India at that stage, the classrooms have got 50 to 60 people in there. It's survival of the fittest. So they thought it'd be much better here.
Could you speak English? So when you came to the UK,
so it was an English speaking school. It was an English speaking school.
Is it still like that, Shameek? Do you know? Is it that
absolutely.
Indian education?
No, I think so. Look, 1.5 billion population, right? It's going to be a problem. And maybe why India is doing so well, because it is survival of the fittest. Everyone has to work so hard to get up ahead. And the best will always come up to the top, really, which is why we're getting so many, India's booming at the moment and doing so well with that population increase. But then, they sent us to the UK, and they sent us to my uncle, who lived in Stockport, Manchester.
Wow.
And he was a dentist.
Right.
So hence the influence. So, I think you must have heard this, right? In the 80s, from an Indian family, you literally had three choices. You either became a doctor, a dentist, or an accountant. Maybe a push lawyer or something, but it was literally medic, dentist, accountant. And, we both, my brother and I, looked at being a doctor. But, we saw my uncle. And, I'm really, really grateful to my uncle and my aunt for bringing us up. And, they were only young as well, and they sacrificed a lot to bring us up.
So you were quite close as an extended family. You were quite close.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Hang on, I lost my train of thought there. I'll come back to it. Yeah, so we grew up, we got influenced by my uncle. We saw he loved his job, loved his life, enjoyed what he was doing, and hence the influence. So I said, okay, we'll do dentistry. And then my brother, actually, he really wanted to do medicine till my parents literally said, no, you're doing dentistry. So he said, okay. and he's an orthodontist now. He went on and did a master's, and he's an orthodontist that used to work with me before I saw my practice. And the funny story about it now there is that subsequently my uncle and aunt had 2 children who we're very close to as well. I used to do their nappies and everything and babysit them and take that. And neither of them became a dentist. So his 2 surrogate sons became dentists, but his own sons didn't. One's a British Airways pilot, and the other is an actuary. So totally different.
It's always intriguing and fascinating that we can take such a heavy influence from one person.
Yeah, that's amazing,
isn't it? That you came over, you were in awe of your uncle. It had served him well as a profession, and that put you on a path. It put your brother on a path, and it's kind of, given there are so many people and so many influences out there, one person can have such an impact on our future.
Is your wife a dentist, Shameek?
No. So she had the most amazing job. She actually worked for Capital Radio. So she was like a promotions manager during the era of Chris Tarrant and Dr. Fox. And
brilliant.
Was that when they were at the Euston Tower?
Yes, Euston Tower, and then they moved to Leicester Square. Actually, on the day we got married, they actually did a whole 15-minute monologue on her about getting married and what was I getting into.
I bet she has got some brilliant stories.
When she left, honest to God, I would have, because it was brilliant, because she would just literally, because she used to be in charge of the OBs, which was the Oprah broadcast. So she would call me up from Monaco saying, oh, look, actually, Christian just finished the OB at the Grand Prix. Why don't you fly over? We've got the stateroom in the yacht, and you can stay with me. Or I'm in Aspen skiing, or do you want tickets to this? Or I got tickets to this. Oh, I got to go shopping today for 10 Chanel glasses and 10 Gucci handbags to give away. She had an amazing job. But as soon as we had kids, I think her main regret was, like, her parents worked very, very hard when they came. They came with nothing, because when we left Uganda, we left with nothing really. They literally what you could carry. So they were, and she just felt the loss. She said, I hardly ever saw them. And I don't want my kids to have that. So as soon as we started off with twin girls, so it was with a bang. And she wasn't well and stuff. So she said, look, I'm not going back to work. My regret, because I really wanted her to go back to work, because I wanted the tickets to everything.
You want all those Monaco trips. I can understand that. Obviously, it wasn't anything to do with being selfish at all. It was just frontier widening.
I'll tell you a really funny story, because Jensen Button has launched a whiskey. And I got on a whiskey tasting session with him online. It was an online, they send you a bottle and you taste, and Jensen Button was doing the tasting with one of the whiskey guys and stuff and everything. And then I told him the story, because before she picked me up from the airport, she picked up Jensen Button's mother and dropped him off to Jensen Button's yacht at that time.
Wait.
And he was just killing himself. He says, yes, I used to own a yacht in those times. It says, my life's totally changed now.
Wow. Brilliant. That's a bit random, isn't it? An ex-Formula One driver that probably not many people remember is launching a whiskey. It's a bit interesting, isn't it? We should launch one.
I was going to say, it's become very popular.
We should launch a dental whiskey or something.
So I run Chris. I run with Mike Gow. We run a Facebook group, which is the Dentistry Whiskey Appreciation Society.
There we go.
And we have 3 casks that we've sourced, and we've got some whiskey maturing in it. So it's 7 years. I just did a tasting. I think it needs another couple of years till we bottle it.
Oh wow! Brilliant.
We've got about 650 liters.
Call it like endo or something.
It'll be the endo of you.
The endo of you. Yes, there we go.
Shameek, when you were talking early on, you were saying about meeting people, and when your daughter was on her internship, she kind of took that spirit and walk around and talk to people. You're somebody who is incredibly well connected in dentistry. You kind of know everybody. Based on the conversations you have, the people you see, what would you say is the biggest challenge facing dentistry at the moment? Not an easy question, I appreciate.
It sort of probably doesn't connect with the networking and stuff or everything, but the biggest challenge at the moment I see is social media, actually, the expectations. I think for the young dentists, what they see and what they want to do, they're trying to run before they can walk. So that I think that's just one of my bugbears there about it. That is what I see, because they obviously see what's happening in social media. They see these amazing cases, they see these amazing lifestyles, and they want it now. And they forget that most of these dentists are 15, 20, 25 years down the line. And, these things will come, but it takes time. For me, the message that I would love to give them is the Kaizen philosophy. I don't know if you heard of Kaizen.
Yeah.
But basically, it's not about making big leaps forward, but rather making small things better in small ways every day, and you will get there. So for me, I think that's the big thing. And the other thing at the moment, I think, is recruitment. I think nurses. Oh my gosh! Since Brexit and stuff, I think every practice that I know is clamoring for nurses at the moment. And any good nurses now is like going into locum agencies because they can see how much money they can make there.
Yeah, someone else was telling us that they can make so much money locuming as opposed to being employed.
So that's the thing. But I think for me, that's what is social media. I think it's the expectations. I mean, it's not just them, right? I'm going to really digress here a little bit as well. I'm going to go back a little personal stuff. It's for everyone. I think everyone. It's all about living up to expectations. What people expect of you, and that you have to live up to that. But worse than that, it's the expectation that you put on yourself. I think most of us, and I myself, put so much expectation on me. I mean, and this is something I was actually just thinking about the other day, because it came up saying, "Oh, what we're doing for New Year's Eve and things like that." Because I love New Year's Eve. It's the best day for me. We celebrate with family. We have a big knees up. It's about
party time,
year you've had, and all of that. So it's amazing. I love New Year's Eve. But then the worst day for me is New Year's Day, because you've got a new year. How do you top the previous year? So suddenly I've just put a huge amount of pressure on myself to say, hang on, how am I going to top this? And I get the blues really badly because I'm suddenly starting to panic to think, what am I going to do this year to top the last year?
Interesting.
And I think that's something that all of us have learned. You've got to learn that do not worry about that.
But that is internal pressure and expectation, isn't it? That's self-inflicted.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is hard, and like you say, that then gets amplified with the things that we see on social media.
Totally, yeah, absolutely. And I'm probably
it's a bit like the old YouTube, wasn't it? Do you remember all the YouTube millionaires that in the early days, and then there was loads of people. That's what they wanted to do. I can sell any old shite on YouTube and obviously become really wealthy. And the answer is, it doesn't quite work like that. It's a bit like, just because you got stuff on social media doesn't actually mean that's just going to be how it all works.
I think lots of young people, they say they'd like to be an influencer when they grow up. Not necessarily knowing exactly what that is, what it entails, but that's just become the language of what it is people are aspiring to be.
I don't want to be a train driver anymore or a dentist. I just want to be
Whereas you, Shameek, you're a dentist qualifying from Guy's back in 93. Did your GDP in 98. Sports Dentistry MSc in 2022 and your ICD Fellowship in 23. The sports dentistry bit really intrigues me because that is a proper niche.
Yeah, what took you so long?
Yeah. Can you kind of talk us through what sports dentistry is? I mean, the things that kind of jump to mind for me are perhaps clenching, trauma, mouth guards, but I'm sure there's a whole lot more to it than that. What does sports dentistry encompass?
So, do you want me to start with how I got into it first, or
that'd be great. What was the spark? Yeah.
So basically, I mean, you're probably aware, I love sports, right?
Yeah.
I go to a lot of sporting events, and my son is very sporty. It was football academy, cricket academy. So I spent a lot of time on the sidelines watching him play, watching others play, and seeing what's happening. And I have a passion. I used to play a lot as well when I was young. I was actually captain of football, captain of cricket when I was young, and then obviously got old and unfit,
as we all do,
and slower.
Learned about drinking and girls, and it all went to pot.
Sidetracked.
Totally sidetracked. Yeah. So I thought, hang on. And then this sports dentistry thing came. I just saw something about it from the UCL and stuff. And we were actually the first cohort. We were actually, there's 5 of us who are the first people in the whole world to have done a master's in sports dentistry.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, oh my God, what better? You love sports, you love dentistry. The best thing would be to combine the two. And I was treating a few athletes, few footballers at that time. And my idea was to then go and become the dentist for a couple of the Premiership clubs if I can.
Right. Yeah.
But then the whole COVID thing hit, and then Tooth Angel came about and stuff. So that's taken a little bit of a backseat at the moment. I also have in the middle of designing and developing a mouth guard that I want to launch. But again, it's taken a little backseat because obviously you can only do so much, and I want to concentrate on the priorities at the moment. So that was the whole thing, and I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. Really, really good fun. Made some amazing friends. Learned a lot, and it's like any specialty, right? Any general dentist can do some basic orthodontics, can do root canal treatment, endodontics, can do periodontics. And it's the same with sports dentistry. Most dentists will be able to treat athletes and be fine. But to get that extra bit of care with someone who's done a master's, who knows that a little bit more extra, that can treat the athletes properly. I mean, here's an interesting fact. You would think in 2012 at the London Olympics, 30% of the visits to the medical center were due to dentally related events. Wow. It was only second to musculoskeletal problems. How bizarre. Yeah. Most of them are from other countries and stuff because they don't think teeth are important. And for elite athletes, when it's marginal gains, having tooth pain, having toothache or gum
I thought you were going to say they all went home with beautiful composite bonding and whitening.
No, they look great. It was all about getting them out of trouble and pain.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Wow, 30%.
30%. Yeah.
And we all know what toothache's like. It's distracting and debilitating. So if you're trying to perform at a high level, the last thing you want is that going on.
No, exactly. There's a famous story of Mo Farah missing important event because he had a dental abscess and he actually fainted in his bathroom and he had to be airlifted. They thought it was something else, but it turned out to be an abscess in his tooth that caused it.
Wow.
And caused him a little systemic infection.
Wow. So is that things like, say, this is my ignorance of sports dentistry. So is this something like, checking maybe that their jaw alignment is correct or that their bite is correct so as that it doesn't cause upset or whatever? I'm fascinated, right?
So yes and no as well. Yeah, everything. It can encompass everything from basic checks to let them know how to brush properly and look after the teeth. A lot of them don't even know because they're constantly having sugar drinks, gels, things like that. These are bad for you.
Right,
so we see a lot of erosion, nutrition. Obviously, a lot of them grind their teeth. A lot of them vomit before to get their weight right, or because of obviously it's a big competition and it's fear factor, and then they get a lot of erosion. So a lot of it is just educating them. But then obviously there is this whole big after stuff as well about dealing with trauma, concussion, and mouth guards, all the different types of mouth guards.
I was just thinking, it's funny. I used to do a lot of swimming, and I mean, 4 hours a day or something. And I was just thinking, it's something I'd never really thought about. But I suppose you're opening and swallowing chlorine water. It's fascinating, isn't it? I just think, I hadn't really thought about stuff like that. And
it's just good to have a conversation because, like I say, it is. It is.
Think about it, do you? Just don't think about it.
No. But to offer that extra level care.
This will make you laugh. Obviously, I have treated a few high-profile footballers and stuff and everything, and but do they care about the health? No, they want their cosmetics.
I bet. Yeah, I want nice
First
smiling
thing is,
teeth for when
no,
I
no,
win
no,
my
can you
medal.
sort that chip out? I said, no, you got like a big hole there and stuff. No, we can do that next time.
Yeah, I just want to look good. I just want to look good.
When I'm on the podium with my medal.
So aside from the sports side, you were a principal of a practice for 18 years, which is credit to you for getting that far. We have this notion that quite often practice owners start to suffer fatigue around about 10 to 12 years into ownership, and they just find that the whole thing's a bit of a grind. But you sold your practice, but you continue to work on in that same practice in an associate capacity. How have you found that transition? Because we speak to lots of people who've bought a practice. We hear the journey going from associate to principal, but not so much the other way around. So how have you found that?
You know what? So the first year was difficult, right? Because, whatever you say and stuff, that's your baby that you're giving away, right? It's another child. I call it my fourth child because, actually the practice came before all my kids even. So it was my first baby, really. So, I likened it to giving your daughters away at marriage. And it's a very bittersweet moment, right? It's going to happen, but you are losing a daughter. So that's what it was like. So the first year was tough.
Don't make as much money.
But now I'm absolutely. What was that?
I said you don't make as much money when you give your daughter away. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah. No, fair enough. No, but it's the best thing I did. Absolutely loving it. I've sold to Coliseum, who actually have been very good to me. They've left me to run things as they were, and obviously it's never going to be totally the same. But they've been a good company to work for and work with.
Nice to hear that.
Yeah, it is.
And they listen to you, and then we have a good relationship. So I have to admit, they do leave me alone, and we just get on with it. And now I don't have to deal with the admin, the HR, the CQC. I can just come in and see my patients and look after them. So it's the best of both worlds at the moment. For me, it's been a great journey.
Good.
It's a common story, isn't it? A lot of people who sell practices, they love dentistry and their patients, but they hate all the other stuff that goes with it.
Yeah,
totally.
And it's obviously it's freed you up. I mean, you've always been very committed to your ongoing learning, and we're going to come on to Tooth Angel, your new venture, in a second. But you've been a very big supporter and heavily involved in the Koi Centre over in Seattle, and you were there quite recently. What's your take on the US approach to learning? And I'm particularly interested in, this is kind of the Dentology Business of Dentistry podcast. What's their take on business learning in the US? How do they approach it compared to how we approach it?
So, actually, bizarrely, I think I don't know whether they learn from a young age, but they're a lot more business savvy than we are. All the Americans, they're very commercial. So I think business does take a big priority for them. Education wise, I have to admit, there's some great education in the UK, but having people like John Coyce, Frank Spear, Pete Dawson, these guys are the giants of dentistry, and to be able to go and learn from them, it's been a privilege. It's being part of the Koi Center is the single most important thing that I've done in my dental career. It's what made me the dentist that I am, actually. I can go as far as I say that. And the friends I've made and the network I've created because of that has been second to none. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend that for sure. Right. And John's such an amazing man. Right, that guy, it's not a brain, it's a computer in there. It's unbelievable how he can sit and just speak for 3 days at a time. Is unbelievable, and there's no paper he's not read. You can't win an argument with him.
It's amazing that considering what you've done, for it to be that sort of massively high up in your list of priorities, isn't it?
Yeah. No. It's going to say. You know what? Yeah. What happened was, this is a story I've told quite a few times and stuff as well. And things is that in the 2005, 6s and stuff, when the veneer revolution was coming, and Larry Rosenthal came, and doing veneers and stuff. And I did his course. I went to him, and I got to give him kudos as well for changing how we look at aesthetics, because we'd never looked at aesthetics before. Before then, I thought I was a good dentist because I didn't hurt my patients. I was like gentle and nice, right? Nothing to do with doing amazing cosmetics or amazing restorative work. It was all about how I made my patients feel, which is very, very important. But that to me was the big criteria. But after that, I was looking, oh my God, there is so much I don't know. But then I was intelligent enough to know that, it's all good making everything look pretty. We want to make sure it stays there. So you got to learn occlusion. So which is why then I went to learn from Dorsa and Coyce and learn about occlusion to make sure that everything I was doing was staying put and lasting. And that to me was like a big eureka moment. And the whole Coyce Teaching Center is just an experience. I've never experienced anything like that. The customer service there is unbelievable.
Very impressive.
I remember Frank. So Frank Taylor. What was that? He went to some place. It was really sort of like front foot. Was it the Pankey Institute?
Yes.
I don't know if it's still around.
It's still around. It's still around. But
he went over there to sort of learn. He said, to learn about dentistry, and he said it was so enlightening, which obviously sounds pretty similar to your sort of moment, almost like your Nirvana moment, like big halo. I've suddenly got the hang of it. It's amazing. Really amazing.
It's impressive. It's nice to hear as well. It is nice to hear. And then when you sold your practice, part of that was to free you up to do other things. And we had a very memorable conversation in an airport lounge in Chicago where you told me about this idea that you had at the time, which was this new range of dental products, which has morphed into Tooth Angel. So can you tell us about what Tooth Angel is, the inspiration for it, how it works with dental practices? Just give us a flavour and the backstory on that one.
This week's episode is brought to you in partnership with Ultimate Dental Business. We know as guys who have supported dentists for over 25 years and through hosting this podcast that building business skills in dentistry is vital. Time and again, we hear from dentists who tell us that they find the business side of dentistry the most challenging. And we know that stress and pressure comes from doing things we don't feel well equipped to do. That is why we are delighted to be part of Ultimate Dental Business, the new dental business hub delivering top-tier business training for dentists. Founded by Dr. Brad Thornton and Dr. Krupal Shah, Ultimate Dental Business is a response to the lack of robust dental business education currently available. Through our effective collective discussions with dentists, it was clear they most needed good structure and effective guidance to give them the knowledge and tools to be successful dental business owners and to create a business that serves them rather than the business that takes all their time and energy to keep going. To find out more about developing your own business education, click on the link in the show notes or go to ultimatedentalbusiness.com.
So actually, I'm really, really excited to introduce Tooth Angel. It's a brand that merges luxury with sustainability because, self-care should not just benefit us, but the planet. Mm-hmm. And this all actually started when, like many of us, I was watching Netflix during COVID and I watched Seaspiracy, Plastic Ocean. And I was absolutely shocked about the amount of plastic in our oceans. I don't know if you're aware of it, but there's a fact now that by 2050, there's going to be more plastic in our ocean than fish by weight. And that was just literally a shocking fact. Absolutely shocking. So I thought, we have to be part of the solution, not the problem. So I went around, I did a lot of research. And I don't know if you're aware, 2 billion plastic toothbrushes are thrown away in the US alone at all. So that was literally shocking. So I had to think, we need to come up with something. And, people would think, bamboo toothbrushes. But bamboo toothbrushes are not the solution. The more I looked into it, the more I saw that, no, that's not the solution. Now, don't get me wrong. I support everything that will stop plastic getting into the oceans. But bamboo toothbrushes are sugar and starch. They're made of wood. They absorb moisture, so they mold. So who wants to put a moldy piece of wood in their mouth? And I don't know if you're aware, the bristles are not biodegradable. So you actually have to snap the head off, put the handle in your compost hip, and the head goes on to your normal waste. And not many people do that. So the whole thing is a waste.
But I think there's two issues there on Shameek. I think one, people wouldn't have known that.
No.
Yeah.
And two, can people be bothered? It's
Three,
unlikely.
are they strong enough?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true as well. Plus, all of it comes away from faraway countries, so just the carbon emissions negate any use they have as well. So to me, that was not the solution. Toothpaste tablets, I love the concept, but I like toothpaste, and the people I talk to love toothpaste. So I wanted to do something with toothpaste. So I went traveling. I went to Italy, Switzerland, Germany, met with manufacturers, read a lot of research papers, till we came up with solutions. And now we have the Tooth Angel toothbrush, which is a recyclable plastic handle, but with refillable heads. So you actually remove the heads and replace them, but you keep the handle for life. And that's a 92% plastic saving. So that's huge. Plus the bristles are carbon activated. So they're anti-odor, antibacterial, humidity regulating, negative ion releasing, and soft. So they don't do any damage to your gums or teeth. So everyone that's been using them has absolutely been loving it and stuff. But I think the question will obviously straight away come to your head is, yeah, but it's still plastic. But this is where it all gets really interesting, because we have some great people as part of the team and stuff. So everything we're going to do was going to be a research base. Yeah. In September 2020, Prof. Ashley from UCL Eastman and Brett Duan from Trinity College Dublin did a series of papers in the British Dental Journal, which actually compared plastic manual toothbrushes with replaceable heads, bamboo toothbrushes, and electric toothbrushes. And they found plastic toothbrushes with removable heads were the best for the environment and the associated human health. So it was just mind-blowing by far.
Wow.
So we've suddenly got research behind us as well. And that was really, really good. And then, the other question that begs is, why manual, when everyone's recommending electric? So good question. Because Consumer Report says 58% of the population use a manual toothbrush. So that's 30 million people in the UK still use a manual toothbrush. So if you like a manual toothbrush, I think we've got one of the best ones out there. And plus, when we were asking people and stuff, nearly everyone who has an electric toothbrush has a manual as a backup when the electric either runs out of battery, pumps out, when they're traveling.
But when you go on holiday.
When you go on holiday.
You chuck the manual in your wash bag.
If you're having it, then have your Tooth Angel toothbrush manual as a backup with removable heads, so that you don't even have to buy another toothbrush. Just go to buy the heads again. So it works really well. And then obviously, and actually the funny bit was, like, one of the things that I really wanted was, I love cinnamon, right? So I wanted a cinnamon floss. So I wanted to create a cinnamon floss. And again, we had a manufacturer who did it. And we have the softest, fluffiest four-headed riser floss, coated with hydroxyapatite and xylitol, that we've done. And honestly, all the hygienists are absolutely loving it. There's not one hygienist that I've given it to that's wanted to hand it back to me. They've all nicked it from me and saying, we're keeping this. So yeah, it's an amazing floss. John Coyce actually called it the best floss he's ever used.
No, there you go.
Wow. I'm a small part in Tooth Angel, and I went to Canada recently to see some guys, and I took some of the stuff out with me, and I took some of the floss and I gave it to one of the guys out there. And he banged on about it so much that he's actually ordered. I think you sent them out recently, but he's ordered a bunch more.
Yeah,
there is something about.
He absolutely loves it. He said he's tried so many flosses, and this is by far the best.
And there is something about the inflated nature of that floss, which is quite unusual.
And the biggest kudos is when we went to the symposium, John Coyce actually put the Tooth Angel brush, the floss, the toothpaste in his manual as best products. Actually, he's actually rated the manual toothbrush as the top two. That and the Nimbus, which is a good toothbrush as well.
Brilliant.
So that was, I was very chuffed with that.
And from a dental practice point of view, how do they get access to it if they want to stock it in their practices?
Literally we have a website, so you can order directly from them, or there's a Google order form that we can send them, or they can obviously contact me. So that can be done.
Brilliant.
And just to say, we've also got a toothpaste, in sugarcane tubes. So these are 100% recyclable, and it's got biomimetic hydroxyapatite, fluoride, xylitol, potassium citrate, everything good, and none of the bad stuff, like no SLS, no titanium dioxide, no parabens, no BPA, and again, lots of lovely flavors.
From a no SLS point of view, I know you're saying about toothpaste tabs. I think we quite like foaming stuff, don't we? I think as we like shampoo that foams when it's normal. Yeah, we like toothpaste that foams. How do you kind of get around that? How does that get
so
managed?
there are other products, not quite as foamy as SLS, but still gives you a decent foam, so that you get that lovely effect. Because you're right, when we did our market research and stuff, they all said, "Oh, hang on, I need it foaming." So we've got a coconut-based one, sodium cocosulfate, which actually forms really, really nice. And actually, most people who've tried it seem to be really, really happy with it. Obviously, won't get that huge froth, which doesn't really help anyway. Just that feeling that we used to from SLS.
It's doing something.
That's right. You feel like, oh, that feels good. But that's great flavors. That English wild mint and the cinnamon mint, your mouth just feels fresh for hours afterwards. Actually, I'll tell you a very good story. So it's got biomimetic hydroxyapatite. So I don't know if you know much about hydroxyapatite.
Nope. Go on, tell us.
So actually, so our enamel is 96% hydroxyapatite, and our dentine is about 60 to 70% hydroxyapatite. So it's a naturally occurring mineral, and biomimetic means like nature, basically. Right. So what happened is the whole thing started in the 70s when NASA was sending astronauts up. They were finding that these astronauts were losing minerals from their teeth and their bones. So they wanted to create something to replace those minerals. So they actually created something called brushite, which is hydroxyapatite, which is calcium phosphate water in a gel form. And that's what they gave the astronauts to replace the minerals that they were losing. And then this Japanese company actually bought the rights of it to make it into a toothpaste. So it's been around for a while, but now there's a lot of research coming out that it's actually just as good as fluoride as well.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Oh, that's interesting. So in theory, that could go into children's toothpaste.
Correct.
Because
obviously they don't
put fluoride in kids' toothpaste because they tend to swallow it. But if it's naturally occurring, it could go into kids' toothpaste.
Absolutely fine. Yeah, there's no harm. So that's okay.
Very interesting.
There you are.
Very interesting.
Look, I've learned something. Well, many things. I will never be able to pronounce that word again, though. Whatever it was, something boxaload.
Biomimetic hydroxyapatite.
Biomimetic hydroxyapatite,
Hydroxyapatite, there we go.
There you go, look at that. Well done, Andy. That's good.
That's worth about 74 in Scrabble.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That'll be one of those spelling bee questions.
What's the plan for the future? Where does Tooth Angel go?
So Tooth Angel will now, we're because of the whole hoisting and stuff, it's a lot of dentists in the US wanting dentists in Canada as well. So I think the plan would be to take it to the US and Canada. So but that's a big project, undertaking. So I'm starting to work on that. So that should be quite interesting. Watch the space.
Good.
We'll see what happens, but it's exciting. It's fun, right? I'm actually really enjoying it.
No, that's good.
It's a passion project, and hopefully we're doing. Look, what I do want to reinforce is that all the Tooth Angel products, we're clinicians, right? We are clinicians, so we want to make products that are actually good for you. So that's the first and foremost, and then the sustainability is the kicker.
Yeah,
no, that makes sense.
It's nice you say about you're enjoying it as well, because
definitely.
We started with, you do have a sense of joy and you seek out a sense of fun, and bringing that into business is important, because on the whole, business, you have hard days as well as good days. So the fact that you're all constantly looking to make it fun and there is joy in there, I think really matters, and I think that does bring the right sort of people into your world as well.
Yeah,
which is good.
And it's not greenwashing.
No,
isn't it?
That's right. I didn't want to
really
talk about that, but I can do a whole lecture on that, on the greenwashing. The amount of greenwashing
that's brilliant. And in fact, so many people profess, but actually don't. When you really, really dig in, it doesn't deliver. But what's quite nice is it's quite interesting from a marketing point. I'm thinking, you probably lead with the green, with the sustainability and the fact it's all right for you. because people don't really care about the "it's all right for you" bit. They're probably more interested in the sustainability.
As a clinician, that's what really excites me, because these products we created are good for you, do help you, and hopefully. The sustainability is a great kicker that will help it as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Shameek, we've got to the time where we need to ask you a couple of questions. Nobody gets to leave without answering them. First question for you is, you can be a fly on a wall. Where are you and who is there?
I try to think about this because I know you're going to ask that. And, literally, I'm going with the first thought that came to me. Literally. As you know, I'm a whiskey aficionado. I like whiskey. I collect, I drink and stuff. And to me, it was like, I would love it when Friar John Core, who's sort of the first recorded person to have made whiskey in Scotland. There are reports of Ireland doing it before, but I won't get into that. I would love to be the fly on the wall when he had his first sip of whiskey.
Wow.
Just to see that feeling that, oh my God, they used to call it aqua vitae, which means water of life. Right. To have that taste, to feel that eureka moment, to say, what have I created? Something that is going to please generations and generations of people in the future and make them aficionados.
What year was that? Whenabouts? When was that?
1494.
Wow.
So was it done, and I don't know, you might not know, you might know, was it done as something religious, or was it just something
I think it was recorded as the King James IV gave him malt barley to make it. But there is a record in 1405 in Ireland of a person dying from drinking too much aqua vitae. So that's the only little reference there.
Oh, really? Wow, that's interesting.
I imagine in the early days it was more like moonshine than whiskey.
Yeah.
But it was coarse.
So. But just to have thought of it, created it, and to have that amber lecter.
It's amazing.
Would have been quite interesting just to see that moment.
But even better if it's been like an accident, wouldn't it? Like you just left it in a bucket, because there's some of those things, aren't there, where they just leave things and then they get around to think, oh, actually, that's all right.
Yeah, I think it sounds a bit like Louis Pasteur and penicillin, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Or Post-it notes. The bloke who made Post-it notes, wasn't it? This glue's rubbish. Oh, actually, this is really quite a good idea, these Post-it notes.
It's one of the other things as well. I did a gin diploma as well, how to make gin.
Shameek's still at home. Is this where you are at the moment, in like the with all that stainless steel? I feel it could be like
that's
Shameek's concoction room. I was like, I'm just knocking up a few things around the corner.
Load yourself into a vat for good acoustics.
It is. That's the acoustics coming
our follow-up question is, if you could meet somebody, if you could sit down, and surely it would be a nice glass of wine or a whiskey, who would you like to meet, given the opportunity?
It's like, that's again a no-brainer. But this time, it'll be surprised. It will be with a cup of masala chai. It will actually be my mum. She passed away in 2013 with leukemia and stuff. But I would love just to have another moment with her. Yeah. Just to be able to tell her, because you know what, as parents, especially their generation and stuff, their whole big thing was like they want to get their kids married and happy and settled and stuff. And my brother wasn't married then, so that was her biggest worry. And I would just want that moment to tell her that actually I'm going to get emotional.
Everyone's okay.
That my brother has married a lovely wife, has a beautiful 6-year-old daughter who is the apple of my dad's eye. And that you can rest in peace, that her grandchildren, my children, are just doing amazingly well. They're just about to all fly the nest, but we're all very proud of them. And, just so that she could have that peace and the fact that I can get one more hug from her.
Yeah,
that's lovely.
Oh, very sweet. Very sweet. Yeah. I'm sure she'd be very proud at how her grandkids and her sons have grown up.
It's interesting that we've had a number of people who would like to meet either parents who died
Yeah,
or
or
grandparents that
grandparents.
they never met or can't really remember. It's quite an interesting one.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that sense of belonging is where we come from, isn't it? You know,
So I suppose it's our roots, isn't it? Our family.
Yeah,
Whatever
we
you
know so
say,
much.
whoever you meet and stuff, they are your biggest influences.
Yes.
My dad, my mom, they're what made you.
Yes, exactly.
And
exactly.
you should know, you can't forget that.
No. Shameek, it's been an absolute joy. Thank you for your time. I always come away from conversations with you with so much more than I started. It's always good fun. It really is. Look after yourself. We've got some dental events coming up in the next couple of months, so I'll look forward to seeing you at those. But no, we appreciate your time today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Shameek.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Infectious
Thanks a lot for having me
enthusiasm.
and stuff.
No, not at all. We've loved it. We've loved it.
Cheers, man. It's been brilliant.
Cheers. Ta-da.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Dentology, where we discuss the business of dentistry. If you like what you heard, please do subscribe where you found this episode. That would be amazing. And also follow us on Instagram.